Welcome to Startup MB's Lunch and Learn. Super excited that you're all here. And so I'm Jeff. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jeff Sailing. I'm the executive director and one of the co-founders for Startup MB. And super excited to introduce our speaker today, John James. I've known for about 3, 4, 5 years. John's had his outfit, Ignited Results, operating here in our market and around the world or around the country? Around the world.
Both, yes.
Getting great results for his clients. So we've talked about a lot of different marketing topics over the years, and John's just gotten great results for all his clients. And today he's going to talk to us about using LinkedIn, which is one of the many things, but it's certainly a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm going to be listening carefully to all that John has to say and all the advice he has to give us. So please, everybody, give a warm welcome to John James.
Thank you so much. I like the woohoo. That was perfect. Yes, that's grace. We're going to be talking about grace in just a few minutes. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is John James, and I am the managing partner of Ignited Results. And we're headquartered here in Reno. We're actually down the street at 100 North Arlington. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about using LinkedIn and how you can leverage LinkedIn to create an unstoppable flow of leads without actually having to spend money on ads. Does this make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So we specialize in helping business-to-business companies increase paradigm when you think about your social media. Start looking at your social media the way you would any other asset. For example, real estate. Real estate, if you manage it properly, it increases in value. And over time, it can pay you a monthly income. You can leverage your social media network the same way if it's managed properly. Does this make sense to you guys? So we're gonna jump into some strategies about how you guys can use this. I'm very passionate about LinkedIn. I talk about it a lot. I write about it. One of the articles that you see in front of you is an article that I wrote for Forbes. In that article, we discuss how to leverage LinkedIn to generate face-to-face meetings with ideal clients and prospects. So at the end of my short talk, I'm going to ask you guys, open up the floor for questions and answers, and also invite you guys to have a one-on-one meeting so that we can talk about increasing leads and generating sales using LinkedIn. In the one-on-one meeting, you guys are going to have a free video-based blueprint, and you can actually take the blueprint and implement some of the strategies we discussed today. Sound good? Okay. So since we have kind of we've got an intimate group here, is it okay if we ask for your names? We'll start here.
Sure. I'm Cece Stanton.
Okay, Cece. What do you do, Cece?
I am a consultant myself. My company name is CCS Consulting, and we do business development, marketing, and communications.
Perfect. Perfect.
My name is Mark Stiving. I'm a pricing expert.
Okay, very nice. Frank.
I'm in the middle of lunch. My name is Frank Borghetti. I'm a local real estate consultant. I do mostly with sellers. We have a bunch of different marketing programs. I've been in Reno about 13 years, and it's a fun place to be.
Very
Looking
nice.
forward to learning how to use LinkedIn.
Very nice. Very nice. John?
Okay. Hi, I'm John Boltman. I head up the managed services group at Demand Gen. We're a business services agency that help clients using marketing technology, mostly marketing automation software.
Nice.
Grace Nichols, I'm a sales consultant and a lobbyist.
Beautiful.
I'm Lou Manna, photographer from New York City. Been here 2 years, love it. I photographed for the New York Times when I was there, and now I'm photographing products, events, people, and I love food photography. That's my specialty. And I eat everything I photograph.
Let's go to Inchi.
Oh, I'm Inchi. I'm a undergrad studying engineering. I don't have business.
I'm Dan Paul, Straight Media.
Very nice.
I'm Caroline, and I'm here at the Town Post.
Beautiful. Okay, all right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming. And so let's go ahead and jump right in. Here's our agenda. Where do you want me standing? Is this good?
Yep.
Okay, okay. So I'm going to tell you a bit more about our company, how social selling works and why it's important, especially going into 2020, how to do it properly. We're going to be talking about the power of professional relationships versus personal relationships and how to create those relationships and cultivate them using LinkedIn. I'm going to tell you guys a pretty neat story about a guy who leveraged dinner parties to build his business empire and how you guys can do the same thing and so much more. A big takeaway from today is the framework that we're going to cover. I want you guys to be able to walk away with something that is actionable that you can implement in your businesses today. And so once we go over the framework, make sure you take notes, and that's something you guys can start using right away. Sound good? So a bit about myself. I'm a digital marketing fanatic. I am a perpetual student. I write a lot. I've been featured in ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox news sites. Recently, because I'm addicted to information, I decided to take a course through Cornell's Grad School of Management. And they have a course in digital marketing. I'll be talking about that and sharing what I think is the one single most valuable lesson that I learned in that particular course. As I said before, I'm also a Forbes contributor, so I write for Forbes about once a week and on anything related to digital marketing, okay? And I'm the managing partner of Ignited Results. We're headquartered here with a presence in San Francisco as well, okay? So let's go forward. I've got 4 rules for today. Rule number 1, let's have fun, okay? Let's have fun. I see Lou already smiling so let's have fun. Number 2, I promise to give you 100%, and I ask that you do the same. Number 3, let's keep this interactive. So I'm gonna be pausing, asking you guys to share with one another and stopping and pausing to see if you have any questions as we go through each section. And then number 4, I ask you guys to promise, whether you're a student or a business owner, take something today and implement it. Actually take action. That way you're leveraging my time and yours, right? So take action with some of the information that you learned today. Sound good? Okay. So we're not going to do a raffle because on my way over here, I changed my mind.
Good for you.
So this is December, right? And it's Christmas time. So for those of you that desire it, what we're going to do is create an article for you guys for LinkedIn. So yeah, that's literally something we've never done. So if you don't take me up on it, I'm not going to chase you down. If you do take me up on it, super smart decision, okay? And you're going to learn over these next 35 minutes or so why that is very, very valuable. So Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. So here's a question for you. Can one connection on LinkedIn triple your revenue?
Right.
Who says yes? Yes. Okay. Yes?
Yeah, I've been on LinkedIn for 2 years. I never got one lead out of it.
Okay. How are you? Well, we'll talk about how you can be leveraging it the right way. So one connection on LinkedIn, it can definitely increase your revenue. This is one of our clients. Her name is Jane Ubel-Meyer, and she has a really neat company. It's called Bedside Reading. And what she does is, if you're an author, she takes your book and places it bedside in 5- and 6-star hotels. Okay, so places where the likes of Bill Gates and Richard Branson would wake up and roll over in their bed, right there on the nightstand, there's your book. And Jane, she's super funny. So she calls me up one day and she goes, John, I just got a new client from your LinkedIn thing that you do. I said, okay. And I said, well, what happened? And so we hop on a Zoom call and she tells the story. We recorded it, put it on YouTube. Jane is in a conversation with a guy on LinkedIn. And she says, well, let's hop on a quick call and I'll tell you more, because he asked one question about her business. It took her 2 minutes. she closed a $3,000 sale, okay? The guy actually ended up doing multiple transactions with her. And I said, well, how in the world did you close the guy in 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes? And she goes, I just told him, I said, look, pay me, okay? You get a Jewish mother for 30 days, and we're gonna get everything in order. You know, so whatever your technique is, that's what it is, okay? But the point is, it is proper and in perfect order to invite someone from LinkedIn into a flat out business conversation. That is the point that I want to impress upon you guys. If you do that on Facebook, you're out of pocket. It's inappropriate, right? If you do that on Twitter, it doesn't make sense. Instagram, it doesn't make sense. LinkedIn is the best platform in existence right now for creating professional relationships and also for turning those relationships into revenue generating situations. Does this make sense? Okay, John.
Question for you. So to me, it makes sense if somebody reaches out and says, hey, I'd like to get more information on your business. What about those individuals that reach out to you and say, hey, we have something to offer you. Are you interested?
Great question. It depends. If someone reaches out to you with an offer, if you're genuinely interested, go ahead and engage. If you think that it could be a situation where that could be a potential referral source down the road, go ahead and engage with them. If it's a waste of time, you know, you just say thanks, but you know, maybe some other time. Okay, great question. So before LinkedIn, Jane was doing things what we call the old way, okay? And you guys are here to learn the new way, correct? Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys the new way, but before we do that, let's take a look at the old way so that you can kind of see what the differences are and hopefully make a paradigm shift. So here's the old way. That guy's not too happy. The old way is when it comes to building your network, we rely on friends and family, right? And it's great, it works, but over time, that dries up. That can only last for so long. It's not scalable. PPC ads, pay-per-click ads, they are very effective, very effective. We even run pay-per-click ads for some of our clients. The challenge with pay-per-click ads is, especially if you're a startup, it can be very investment or capital intensive. And some companies have $1,500, $2,500 a month in ad spend, and some companies don't. So that's the downside to PPC. Then we have BNI meetings. No offense if there is a BNI director or something in the room or a member. I run into it a lot. BNI meetings are great. They work. They are effective. But John James just doesn't like to get up at 7 a.m. for breakfast, okay? And so there are other ways that you can be attracting and generating leads, okay? And then finally, cold calling. Cold calling is powerful. It actually does still work. Most people either suck at it or don't want to do it. And so we have that on the list for the old way. Does this make sense to you guys? Okay. So we're going to talk about a system that you can use to magnetically generate leads and attract clients into the top of your funnel, into your pipeline. The strategy to do this is social selling. Now, in a nutshell, how many of you are familiar with the term social selling? Okay, all right, cool. Then I'll just skip this one. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. In a nutshell, social selling is when you leverage social media to connect with a targeted audience, people that can either do business with you directly, or they can become sources of referral for you. And then once those connections are made, you are nurturing those leads and those relationships, or cultivating those prospects into real relationships so that you can one day do some business. That's the art of social selling, and I'm going to show you guys how to do this. Does this make sense so far? Okay. The platform that you want to be using for social selling is LinkedIn. Here's why. Currently, LinkedIn actually has over 630 million profiles. That is the most recent update as of like this morning. 635 million profiles. That's a lot of people on LinkedIn. Their goal within the next 5 years is to have 1.5 billion profiles on LinkedIn, which would represent almost all of the employed people in the world. Okay, that's their goal. 101 million senior level executives are on LinkedIn. So if you're trying to reach high to the senior level execs, if you need to connect with the CEOs, you can do it there. I've connected on LinkedIn with government officials from around the world who I never thought would accept my connection request. Just blew me away. There was one guy in another country, I asked a question about how their dual citizenship works because of a conversation I got in with one of my clients. So I'm on LinkedIn and I said, you know, why not just ask the guy right in their version of the White House? You know, he was their version of the White House lawyer. The guy connected with me and wrote me back. I was blown away, you know, and he said, by virtue of my position, I can't do this for you, but he referred someone to me. And then my client started using that attorney that he referred. So the sky's the limit with LinkedIn. A fun fact is 41% of millionaires use LinkedIn. And most importantly, another fun fact is your millennial decision makers, because some of you actually target millennials, they're on LinkedIn, okay? So this is the platform that you guys want to use for your social selling. I'm gonna take a 30-second break and ask you to turn to your neighbor, share any idea or anything that you might have learned or anything that might have sounded interesting so far. You guys have 35 seconds to do that, please.
What do you got?
I know, we already talked about it here. Yeah. Hi, nice to meet you. Oh, yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
I do. We had a professional, I'm sure I introduced myself for all of our social media. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I've done some on Splash. Yeah, I posted on application to Splash. So the ones that I
Lisa School is hard idea.
I do. I used LinkedIn for many years. It's actually been top 500.
I like the stats. I mean, I love the stats of how many millions of users. It doesn't surprise me at all.
Just by staying on top of it, posting, yeah, he posted like everything I'm sharing around the world. I did. So, okay. Well, I like the fact that you're writing podcasts. Some of my clients are actually IT
You're looking for a job.
Yeah, I have boxes, but it's not that right. Like I just
Well, you gotta do both, especially as you get experience.
Okay, you guys ready? Everybody ready?
We're ready.
Perfect. Okay, questions, comments, tips? Yes.
You didn't mean to skip on the previous slide. Can you back up again?
Yes. So this slide is about social selling. I just talked about it on the next slide. Only because the next slide had so many facts and bullet points that I thought you guys might want to spend some time there. Okay. Did she capture it? Perfect. Anyone else? Okay. So these are the 5 steps to cultivating LinkedIn. Number 1, you want to identify your target market. After you identify the target market, you want to position yourself or your team as an authority. And I'm going to be diving into some meat for each one of these steps. Position yourself or your team as an authority. Number 3, connect with your market on a daily basis, okay? You should be spending, hopefully, about 20 minutes a day going into your LinkedIn account, maybe 30 minutes, going into your account and cultivating your network and building and making new connections. So you either have to invest the time yourself in order to make this work, or you need to outsource it to a firm who can do this for you. Either way it goes, it's going to require an investment. So I'm just being very realistic with you guys so that you understand what's the steps that are necessary. After that, you want to follow up consistently, and you want to do it in a way that's not spammy. You don't want to be too stalkerish, you know what I mean? And I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Unless you are a professional stalker, then that's your deal, okay? And then finally, most importantly, how do you cultivate those relationships? How do you actually cultivate those relationships and take them from the online world and create a real world offline relationship? That's what you want to do. I think one of the Forbes articles that I wrote in your seats are about that particular topic. So in order to do these things, we've kind of broken this up into 3 pillars. These are what we call the 3 ABCs of LinkedIn. Number 1, always be connecting. Always be connecting. Number 2, always be cultivating. You should constantly and consistently cultivate your relationships. I'm going to be saying that a lot. And number 3, Alec Baldwin said it in Glengarry Glen Ross, always be closing. Always be closing. Some of you are young enough to remember that movie. If you are in sales and you have not seen Glengarry Glen Ross, go watch it this weekend. You got to see that movie. Okay? So we're going to go through each one of these as its own individual module right now. You guys ready? Yep. Okay. So always be connected. When you connect with someone, the secret sauce is this. You should first establish yourself as an authority. People want to connect with people who have authority and influence, plain and simple. Establish yourself as an authority. Number 2, you should identify your target market. Instead of connecting with any and everyone, especially if you're spending half an hour a day investing in your social media network, you want to be connecting with people that can do business with you directly, or what? Refer business to you. Thank you, Grace. Do business with you directly or refer business to you. And then once you establish the authority and you identify the market, that's when you're ready to start sending out your invitations to connect. Does this make sense to you guys? Okay.
Question. Go back to your back slide, this slide, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Why wouldn't you identify your target market first?
You're really kind of doing all this simultaneously, but yes, you kind of.
You're not doing the third one simultaneously, right? But you're saying the first 2, you kind of do them simultaneously.
Right. When we get into the framework, you're actually going to see this first. So I appreciate the question. So the first step that we have here is establish authority. Now, the way that you establish your authority is you write articles, or you can even create video content. But if you write an article, you're an author, right? And if you look at the word authority, author is in there. There's a lot of power in being an author. When you write articles, you can feature them inside of LinkedIn News. Once you publish the article and post it in LinkedIn News, it updates everyone in your network. They all get an email and it says, Grace, or John, or Mark, or CC has been featured in the news. And so when your network is seeing this on a consistent basis, for example, a monthly basis, when they see this, you remain top of mind as the expert and the authority in your field. Does this make sense?
could you define an article for a second? Is that when you go into LinkedIn articles and you write the article into LinkedIn?
Yes.
So if I were to take a blog that I've written and I post it in as a LinkedIn article, which I do all the time.
Yes, correct, correct. And are you using images when you post?
Yes.
Good. Okay, so writing articles is one way to position yourself as an authority. Now, there are other sites that you can post articles on. I would recommend medium.com for several different reasons. Create a profile for yourself on medium.com. Here's why. Medium has a very high DA score, domain authority score. So I'll go to Nerdville really quick and explain some things about SEO. Medium, so Google looks at every website and they decide, they assign a page rank score, a domain authority score. The higher the DA score, the more authority the site has. The higher the authority of the site, the higher it pops up in the search results. Medium is actually in the 90s right now with their DA score, their domain authority score. If you write an article and post it on medium.com and people Google your name, your search results are going to look really nice. You're going to have your LinkedIn profile, an article from Medium, and other search results. So these are the ways that you start to position yourself as an authority. Make sense? Okay.
Question,
Yes.
is that how you are connected to Forbes? Did you pick them or did they, I don't. maybe
They invited,
Gotcha.
yeah, they invited me, yes. So, yeah, you can't just, so Medium, you can go and just write an article and publish it, but you couldn't do that, for example, with Forbes or Entrepreneur or Fast Company. You could, but the process is so, you know, if you submit an article to Entrepreneur, it could take them a couple of months to get back to you with the yay or nay. But yes, it actually can be done. Yes.
Are you writing an article on Medium? What do you do with that article on LinkedIn? Do you copy and paste the text into the LinkedIn articles?
In this example, you can do both. You can either have one article on LinkedIn and a separate article on Medium.
So that just means you have to write two.
Yes, it does. Yes. Or you can take one of your blog pieces, right, and repurpose it for Medium. And you can also take the same blog piece and repurpose it for LinkedIn. And now you're taking one piece and leveraging it 3 different ways.
With different words so that Google knows that it's not reposting the same thing.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is a hack right here. We call this a hack for establishing authority. If you don't want to write an article and you don't feel like it, if you don't have, you know, a team like ours that, you know, we write articles for our clients every single month. We're constantly writing and publishing articles for our clients. But another technique is to create a group on LinkedIn. And this is a biggie. We usually talk about this in paid boot camps where people have invested $1,500 for the weekend to learn a lot more information. And creating a group is a power play because it's free. You can create a group in your niche on LinkedIn. So you're a pricing expert. You can have, just as an example, Mark could have the pricing optimization group or something like that. It speaks directly to your target market, but by virtue of being the group owner and founder, you have immediate influence in the social atmosphere. So when you send out a connection request and it says, hi, I'm Mark, I'm a pricing expert and the founder of Pricing Optimization Group here on LinkedIn, I'd like to connect with you. If you receive that message, does it feel like Mark is trying to sell you something or does it feel like Mark is a person of influence? Exactly, okay? So when you create a group on LinkedIn, you have immediate and instant influence. The key thing to keep in mind is when creating a group, name the group something that your connections are going to, where they can see a benefit for themselves in the name of your group. Does that make sense? Okay, before we go on to the next one, I'm gonna give you guys 30 seconds to share with your neighbors anything you might have learned or any ideas. There's a reason we do this, because it triggers ideas. So you have 35 seconds to do that, and then we're going to restart.
What do we got? Which one are you doing? These are posted every day.
Oh, Stacey's gonna. We have the 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my husband and I do.
The post-monthly report.
I didn't know that did have.
So there's that.
It's hard doing it then because just about everybody either owns
I know you can make it take a top
may be interested in buying. So you have both buyers and sellers. It's like virtual.
I have a something.
So I mean, I could pick capital.
Something I'm reading.
You know, okay. Unless a lot of people I don't even know.
Oh, yeah. You can't. It's impossible. Like,
Someone other real estate.
We just had to say.
I don't know where they'll come from. People that send me a request. I just say
Think about it.
well, you can do it by myself.
Okay, everybody, you ready? Any questions, thoughts, concerns? Anyone want to share an idea with the group?
I could talk about, we actually did a post, a white paper post on LinkedIn. It was a few years back before a lot of the document posting and stuff was really popular. But my husband was actually recognized by LinkedIn for the top 500.
Wow.
And received a certificate, a letter, and everything.
Wow.
So it does work, and we received a lot of referral and business just from that post alone.
Amazing. Yeah, the right post can generate business for you for years to come.
People are still reading it around the world.
Yeah. And I see that, happening. The right post can generate business for yourself for many, many years to come, which is one of the reasons it's wise to create what we call evergreen articles, that apply today, tomorrow, in the future. The subject that you're writing about is timeless. Okay, thank you for sharing. All right, so when it comes to targeting, Grace, you were asking about identifying your target market. The way that you identify your target market, I'm going to recommend that you guys sign up for Sales Navigator. Sales Navigator, it is a paid premium level of service from LinkedIn, but it allows you to laser target and identify the right types of prospects to be connecting to, okay? If you are a veteran, the first year is free. Okay, I actually learned that from someone in one of my workshops. The guy goes, no, it's free. I said, no, sir, I'm pretty sure we pay every month, but it turns out he was a veteran. So for veterans, it's free for 1 year, okay?
What does it cost otherwise?
Otherwise, it's cost $74 a month. Yeah, it's gone up. And if you pay annually, then they give you a 10% discount.
I think the first month is free.
The first month is free. So if you want to just play around with it and experiment with it, that's right. The first month is free, and you can build out your database of leads and then start making connections. All right. So when it comes to connecting, on your yellow sheets of paper, I'm going to ask you to write this down in just a second. Think about your target market. what are some of the job titles that your target market holds on LinkedIn? Now, when I say your target market, these are the people who can do business with you directly, or they can refer business to you. So what might some of those job titles be? Grace.
Vice President of Sales or President of the company.
Perfect. And I just put you right on the spot. Perfect.
That's why they call me Amazing.
Amazing Grace. I love it. I love it. John.
Marketing Operations Director.
Okay. Cece.
Well, a lot of those are similar to what I would go for as well. Plus hospitality and hotels and things like that. So.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask you guys, go ahead and take about 20 seconds and write that down. On the top of your yellow forms, there's a section where it asks you to identify your target market. So in that section, write down who you should be connecting with on LinkedIn. Who can refer business to you, or who can do business with you directly. See if you can come up with about 3 to 10 job titles.
John forgot his pen. He lives online. He's just that cool.
Yes.
I'll take photos of slides.
That's right.
And I hope you don't mind, John. I should have asked.
It's fine.
Forgiveness.
It's fine. We're on YouTube Live right now.
Yeah, okay, good.
I'm kidding, we're not live, right?
Well, we are, but there's nobody watching.
Oh, great, yeah.
This is recorded for
Oh,
later.
great. Now he wants that on his recording too. Thanks.
It's just for the people in the room. This is for people later.
Got it. Okay. Good, I see the wheels turning. I love it. See, when you write stuff down, it goes from being like a seminar to a workshop because you're doing some work. Okay, anyone want to share their target market? Lou?
Ad agencies, PR agencies, art directors, PR people, media buyers, publishers.
Okay, and you're shooting photography, right?
Right.
Do you do any events or corporate photography? Okay, so something you can add to that would be conference coordinators, meeting planners, and even hotel directors. Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
VP of Innovation or Strategy,
Okay.
as well as VP of Engineering, just because of what we also do on the other side of our spectrum. So
Perfect. That's a big group, but it's very narrow and laser focused. So that's perfect. Very good. One more. John.
CMOs, VP of Marketing, again, marketing ops executives at B2B companies.
I love it. That's a good market. And CMOs, they have conversations on LinkedIn all day long. So well played. Very good. Okay. So once you've connected with these people, once you've connected with your target market, the next thing that you want to do is to begin cultivating those relationships. This is the most exciting part of all of this, in my opinion, is the ways that you can cultivate relationship. But this is also one of the most challenging parts to talk about because it requires that you make a paradigm shift and begin looking at things differently. So this is not running paid ads on LinkedIn and someone goes to a page and they sign up for something. We're talking about actually building and cultivating relationships that can pay you for a very long time, over the course of time, in the long run, okay? Now, there are many ways to do this. I'm gonna give you guys some examples here. You can connect with your LinkedIn network and invite them to coffee. You can do consultations, invite them to video chats. There's a book called Ask by Ryan Levine. In the book, Ryan Levine tells the story of a young man who graduated from Stanford and he couldn't find work for over a year. He couldn't find a job. And so finally he goes onto LinkedIn and he sends a message where he says, hey, I see we both went to Stanford and we both live in San Francisco. What do you say we have coffee? Now, he's leveraging a technique that we call the uncommon commonality. We have two things that are uncommon, but they're in common with us, the uncommon commonality. We both went to Stanford and we both live in San Francisco. Make sense? That's the uncommon commonality. And long story short, in 30 days, he ended up with dozens of coffee meetings and 83 job offers. Some of them are crap, some are great, okay? I mean, that's the reality. But the guy ended up employed, okay?
That was his goal.
Right, that was his goal. And so you can use LinkedIn, even if you're looking for work, this strategy is applicable. But if you're using it in your business to build leads, it's very, very powerful. So coffee is something that should not be overlooked. Invite your connections to have coffee. Because remember, like Grace had pointed out earlier about the target market, you're connected to a target market. So it makes sense at this point to be having coffee with these people. Make sense? Okay. Video chats are an interesting one. We have clients using video chats in very interesting ways. We have a client in Singapore, and she invites people through LinkedIn to have a virtual cup of Java, right? And she tells them to bring your coolest or your ugliest mug. And so they show up on a Zoom video call and they kind of show each other their mugs, right? And they have coffee. And that is her #1 lead generator, okay? We have another client who is doing something new where her connections through LinkedIn, through video, she's inviting them to have video chats. And when they show up, they know this in advance, but when they show up on the call, she gives them a Starbucks gift card. So she bought them coffee, right? But she's making high level connections, and it works. It's the little things, you know what I mean? It works. So that's another idea. Are there anything on this slide that you want to know about?
Sure, sexy salad.
Sexy salad, sexy salad.
Just threw that on there for us to ask.
You know, here's the funny thing about sexy salad. Men never raise their hand and ask what sexy salad is. Right?
I was going to, but she beat me to it.
You should be offended. I am later.
I think guys don't want to look like the pervert in the room.
Right,
so,
exactly.
You know, so guys just kind of sit there like,
You ask.
what's a free consultation, John? You know, but the women, hey, sexy salad, talk to me. So the first sexy salad I went to, by the way, shameless plug, we are holding Sexy Salad January 24th at the Reno Hive. Okay, so anyway, the first Sexy Salad that I went to was in Oakland. It was at the Oakland Impact Hub, which is a place similar to this, similar to the Innovation Center. And they invite all the business owners out, and there's this long table. And if you're the host, you provide the lettuce, the bowls of lettuce. If you're a guest, one of the business owners or someone from your LinkedIn network, hopefully, they provide the fixings, the lettuce, the cucumbers, the tomatoes, the protein, right? The host stands at the end of the table. You might do a prayer, a salute, whatever makes sense for your group. And then you sit down and break bread. When everyone sits down, if you're the host, it's common to give a 2-minute spiel, if you will, a very short spiel about your business, and then you break bread. It's a beautiful event. It feels great. It's nice. It's a really good way to cultivate your network and build relationships. How many of you would actually do a sexy salad?
Yeah, January 24th, we'll be John and I'll be there.
Okay.
24th.
January 24th. I believe that's the last Friday in January, right?
What time?
12 o'clock. Yes. So that's sexy salad. With your LinkedIn network, invite them to salad. I just read a book. I'm writing a book right now. So in doing research, I ran across a book called Mastermind Dinners. The guy's name is Jason something, Mastermind Dinners. Really nice, short little book. The only thing he does is dinners. He invites people to dinner once a month at a restaurant. Sometimes pays, other times you can have your groups pay. And that's how he's building his network. If you leverage LinkedIn, it would be more powerful because then it would be targeted. And we have clients that do the dinner strategy as well. There's a book called Never Eat Alone. Never Eat Alone. Have you read it?
Sure, I own it.
Powerful book. I read it like, God, what year is this? I want to, almost 20 years ago, right? Really powerful book. And this was before LinkedIn and Facebook and all that stuff. In the book, the author talks about, if you remember, his little studio apartment in Manhattan, in New York. And every Thursday night, he would have 9 folks over for dinner. He would make spaghetti. That was the only thing he knew how to make. Kind of sounds like, well, I just make eggs. But anyway, it was the only thing that he knew how to make was spaghetti. And his guests would show up, and sometimes they would bring wine, okay? And his formula was he would have 4 people that he knew and 5 random strangers. And he leveraged that into what he has today, which is a $100 million consultancy. Okay. This stuff works if you're doing it consistently. Now, this was pre-LinkedIn. If you were to do something like this today, where you've got 500, 1,000, 10,000 connections on LinkedIn, and they're all targeted, and you're inviting them to coffee, monthly dinners, sexy salad, things like that, would your business grow? Right? It would grow. It would definitely grow, okay? Seminars, webinars, one-on-one lunches, all of those things work also. We find the one-on-one lunches to be really effective for our clients who sell high-ticket services, high-level consulting, or even financial advisors. Invite them from LinkedIn, drive them over to a Calendly page or even a funnel where they can apply to have lunch with you. So you're going to ask some qualifying questions before they have lunch with you. They can apply. Now what's happened is your chief marketing officer has filled out an application to talk to John. So you know this person is qualified. Would you take him to the Cheesecake Factory and spend 50 bucks? Of course. You do that 10 times, you're making money, right? Makes sense, okay? So what I'd like you to do, take about 30 seconds on your yellow sheets, write down how you might cultivate your relationships, be it these techniques that you see here or something else. You've got about 30 seconds and we're gonna move into the next pillar. Anyone want to share? I mean, not everybody at one time, just one person.
I'll be happy to share. These are things that I already do and have done. So I've done one-on-ones, dinners, cocktail mixers with education, seminars, things like that. Free consults I've done, open houses I've done. So yeah, they all generate business in one form or another. They generate referrals. Just getting your face in front of people and getting people to know who you are does help. And showing some type of hospitality does, yeah.
Right. And
does work too.
The other thing, when you mentioned cocktail parties and things like that, when you hold these events, you automatically become the influencer.
Yes.
That's the beauty of doing this. And if you're in a crowded field like real estate or insurance or something like that, and you're hitting the community this way, it creates a consistent pipeline of new business. Okay. All right.
Can I make a quick comment on your list?
No. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
First, I want to compliment you on putting coffee first. That is a brilliant strategy.
Thank you.
I've had clients who would much prefer, if you connecting with a stranger, they would much prefer coffee because they can get in and they can get out at any time. Lunch halfway through the salad, they can't get out if they find out you're whatever. And also, there's no big obligation. It's $2-3.
Exactly.
And so I'm not trying. Lunch could be $50, and now I'm basically trying to buy you blah blah blah. So I built my whole business on coffee.
Oh, I love that.
Because my customers preferred it. If you're a corporate person, you don't want vendors spending a lot of money on you. And my super strategy is if they work for a big company or they're in a big building that has a coffee shop in the building. Use their company. I use their company cafeteria. Yeah. I'm like, what am I, $2 or something. Right. It's convenient, and again, it felt comfortable. like I wasn't trying to buy them. We were eating in their company cafeteria.
Right.
So, yeah, coffee's a power play in my book.
It is. And it is so underutilized,
Yes.
believe it or not. It is so underutilized. And I mean, think about this. If you had coffee with 100 targeted connections, targeted connections, would you make some money? Who says no? Okay, good. So you'd make money, right? So it is simple, but people just really fail to do the simple things. You know, it does require work. Grace gets out and has coffee, but she also said she's built her entire business this way. That's very powerful.
And you can book them back to back, you know, at 8 o'clock, at 9 o'clock, at 10 o'clock. I love your idea of making people apply. What if you made people apply to have coffee with you? What does that just say about your authority?
Right.
Here's 3 questions so I can prepare better, but they know they're being qualified.
You know what? Here's what I love about teaching workshops. I never know what I'm going to show up and learn, because we've actually never made anyone apply for coffee. And listening to you describe it, I saw it instantly in my mind. That would be very powerful. We've only used the applications for the one-on-one lunches because it requires a bigger investment to take someone to lunch. So we want to make sure that they're qualified. But wow, if you did that with coffee, that would almost be a deal closer before you actually sit down.
Oh, yeah, because I have had people standing up for coffee before. They just never showed.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
Yeah.
So.
And if they're applying, they're almost saying, I already want to do something with you. Luke.
And the other trick is to schedule it at the same coffee shop or whatever, so that you have back-to-back and you don't have to run around.
Right. And proximity marketing can be combined with this, where this is more of an advanced strategy. We don't have time to go into this today. I can cover this in a one-on-one discovery session. But proximity can be used as well, where you have your LinkedIn connections and you start running some ads with existing connections that are in and around a local area. So you know they're all in Arlington Towers, and you're inviting them to coffee right across the street from Arlington Towers. Powerful. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Oh, this one is fun. So this is our client, Mika Coleman. She's moved now to Dallas, Texas. And she's a real estate agent, but she also teaches residential realtors how to 10x their income in commercial real estate. So there's a course that she kind of sells that someone else teaches. So here's what she does. Do you guys remember the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki? Okay, really good book. So at the end of the book, he's selling his game, Cash Flow 101. She invites the realtors out to play Cash Flow. And she uses different places around town. She started doing it in Sacramento. So people come out to play Cash Flow. And the game is all about investing in real estate and stocks and things like that. By virtue of just playing the game, people go from there into her workshops, and it's a consistent pipeline of income. There are just so many different ways that this can be leveraged. So hopefully you guys have some ideas today about how to cultivate the relationships. When we do our one-on-one sessions, we'll kind of take that further. We'll beef it up and take it further, okay? So I'm gonna skip through this one because you guys have already written down your cultivation goals, and I'm gonna go to the next one. Did you get it? Okay. All right. So pillar number 3, always be closing. Always be closing. You want to convert your prospects into clients, and you do this through LinkedIn InMail. And I underline InMail because some people, I'm not going to say any names, Grace, okay, but some people haven't updated their profile in a little bit. So with LinkedIn, you want to be using LinkedIn InMail. Some people don't know what that is. And it's basically the private one-to-one messaging in LinkedIn. So if I want to send Frank a message, I would go to InMail and send it directly to Frank. LinkedIn InMail. Okay, yes.
Do you do that even if we're connected?
You can do it if you're connected. However, InMail also gives you the ability to send a message to someone that you're not connected to.
Right, so
Thank
I'm
you for
asking
asking.
why you emphasize email. So if you and I are connected, do you want me to send you an in-mail or do you want me to?
If we're connected, you can send me a regular message. The reason I emphasize email, great question, is if you're not connected to someone and you want to send a direct private message, do it through LinkedIn email, and it allows you to reach more people and reach higher up.
As opposed to an email or something, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Isn't
Yes.
there an upcharge for that service?
If you have Sales Navigator, they give you additional credits for LinkedIn email. Okay. So the way you leverage LinkedIn, this is the one thing. So if I pull anything from Cornell, like the one thing, Cornell has a framework for everything. They have a framework for everything. If they say, you know, here's a great way to talk to your clients about SEO, they have a framework for it. You know, if they tell you how to do research for SEO, they have a framework for it. They just have a framework for everything. And so I took that thinking, right, and applied it to what we do. And so we have a framework for how we leverage LinkedIn InMail and the LinkedIn messaging sequence. It's a very, very powerful framework, and it's simple, but it works really well. It's very effective, okay? So here's what it is. This is the last module before I let you guys go. I know I've kind of, you know, put you guys to work a lot today, but Maggie asked me to do it.
Blame Maggie.
Yes, Maggie asked me to do it. So here's your framework, and I usually don't give this away, okay? First of all, make the connection request. That's number one. After the connection request has been accepted, say thank you. Thank you for connecting with me. I hope to be of value to your network. Thank you for connecting with me. I look forward to sharing information, okay? Start to open up the conversation and the idea that you're going to be messaging them later on. We recognize that about maybe 8 to 12% of the time, people will write back and go, oh my God, thanks for saying thank you.
10% of the time?
8 to 12% of the time we're seeing that happen. Right then and there, you've got an opportunity to open up a conversation and drive it towards a sale, eventually a sale. Make sense? Okay. After you say thank you, send them some useful information. Third-party information, nothing promotional to your company. Something that would be useful to that prospect. Like I told you before, this does require an investment of your time or an investment to have a company do it for you. But this is the framework and it works. Send them some useful information. When you do that, they're gonna go, Frank, you're a class act, man. Thank you. Most realtors wouldn't do something like that, right? So now you stand out. Third, after that, you want to share your article. The article that you've written, share it with your group. Now you have what?
Authority.
You have authority, credibility, expert status. After you share the article, invite them to join your group on LinkedIn. And this is all coming over time, not every single day, right? Invite them to join your group. Now they've joined your pricing optimization group, Mark. Okay, now, if Mark now says, hey, we've been connected for a couple months now. What do you say we have coffee? John sends that message to a CMO. What does that person think of John at that point? Is John salesy? Absolutely not. John has shown his authority by inviting them to his group. Grace has shown her authority by showing the guy her articles. And so they've seen your authority, they've seen your influencer status, and now you say, let's have coffee, let's have lunch, come to my sexy salad. Would you like to attend my webinar? People are going to say what? The majority of them. Yes. Yes. So this is the way that it's done. And then you can start several different calls to action from there. Make sense to you guys? Okay. So what I'd like you to do This is also Dr. Erin does this really well. If you guys know her, she was Professional Saleswoman of the Year for Nevada, and she's a monster with LinkedIn. She's a monster. She's actually connected with clients on LinkedIn and put together 5-figure coaching deals with corporations where she goes in and coaches them over 6 months about sales and high performance, peak performance. She's brilliant. But she's using the same strategy that we've covered in the framework, okay? So we're gonna wrap this up, and I just wanna do a quick recap of what we've covered, and then I'm gonna invite you guys to hand in your yellow sheets so that we can have a one-on-one video session. We're gonna record the video session so that you walk away with something tangible, okay? So we'll be done in about 3 minutes, but we've covered how your social media network is actually an asset and how that asset can increase over time. We've also talked about different strategies to increase the value of network and the 3 ABCs of LinkedIn. Always be connecting, always be
Closing.
cultivating, and then always be closing. Absolutely. We've talked about how to publish articles to create instant authority and how to create groups so that you have instant influence with anyone that you're connected to on LinkedIn. And then many of you took a photo of the messaging framework. The framework is the secret sauce because it is that framework that will cause the people to come right in front of you. And when they get in front of you, you're cultivating. We have talked about cultivation strategies such as having coffee, game night, scavenger hunts if you're in real estate, sexy salad, mastermind dinners, etc. So what I'd like you guys to do is, if you hand in your yellow sheets, I'll collect them when we're finished. Here's what you're getting in your discovery session. It's about an hour long and it's meaty. Okay, we're gonna roll up our sleeves and do some work. In that session, we're gonna review your business model. I'm gonna give you some tips right on the spot for optimizing your profile. We're going to brainstorm some article topics, talk about your customer persona and how to find those targeted customers and clients on LinkedIn, how to identify referral sources, and even segment those people that we identify on LinkedIn in terms of which segments should be getting which offers and messages from you. A lot of stuff that we do in that one session. It's usually $500 for the session. You guys came here, Startup Nevada, so it is going to be free if you hand in your yellow sheets today. If you want to call our office in the future, then they're automatically going to book a paid consult with you. So if you hand in your yellow sheets today, I give it to Stephanie and she will give you guys a call to set a meeting. That's how you get this particular consultation for free, okay? So I'll take about 3 or 4 questions. In the meantime, you guys can pass the sheets forward and we'll talk. So any questions?
How can we read your stuff on Forbes?
You can, thank you. Shoot me an email. My cards are up here, but I'm gonna pass them out. But you can also just Google John James Ignited results. If you click on news at the top, you'll see dozens of Forbes articles there. Great question. Okay, that's it. Thank you guys. Thanks for your time. I'll come and shoot your
Good.
Okay, thanks to.
Fun talking to you.
Was nice talking to you, Frank. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Good luck with it. 2020.
Lots of deals.
Stay off airplanes.
So thank you. Join us next month, January. I think it's the 8th. It's the second Wednesday. We're going to have Dan Sakani talking about fundraising and bootstrapping for your business. So thanks for coming.